driven by Victor Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. On location and driven by Victor Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. It's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pod on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship live from Jimmy Z's Plates and Shakes. Texas Plates and Shakes. But it used to be Texas Plates and Shakes.
It used to be Texas Hots.
Texas Hots. Okay.
Yes.
Because I remember, and then I remember it being Texas Plates and Shakes. Well, we're here because Jimmy Z's, 21 years.
We're legal, baby.
Jimmy, how did you look younger than when you started? What happened?
There's just some secrets I really can't talk about on air.
I think that's very true.
It's that special water he's been drinking.
I think it's amazing.
8 filtrations.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Z's Plates and Shakes is celebrating its 21st birthday. That's unbelievable.
It's wild, man. It's really wild to think 21 years ago when I was 21.
Yeah.
This whole extravaganza started.
What? Okay, so Danny asked me, was there something here prior to Jimmy Z's coming in? I don't think there was.
No,
you
this
renovated,
this
right?
This was 4 walls when we got our hands on it.
Yeah. And so you renovated. But what was the original impetus behind this? The original idea. What was the pushing point for you to start Jimmy Z's Plates and Shakes?
The pushing point was that I was brought up in 6 diners.
Yeah.
And, Poppy had got out of the business due to hardship. And, we were successful at one point, but, things in business don't always work out, especially when you take some risks and you have the size balls my dad does.
Yep.
But then, when I was 19, he came to me and he said, you want to give this another run. And, there was
He cursed you.
There was a restaurant in Ontario, out of all places, that was a diner, and it was for sale, turnkey operation.
Right.
And I said, I'm all about giving another run. I said, but it's not going to be a diner. I'm not doing a diner. I'm not going to wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, see the same waitress that's been there for 30 years, and flip eggs and be happy.
I grew up in a restaurant, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Career waitresses, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah. So it just, the diner, the diner was not for me. It never was.
Okay.
And the restaurant business chose me. I didn't choose it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So how did you settle on, like, Texas Hots or that sort of thing in the beginning?
I wanted to. My grandfather ran the Tip Top on Main Street in the 70s, and as a kid, I was always having everything hamburgers and everything hot dogs with sauce on them.
Okay.
So I wasn't really introduced to the plate yet as a kid, but I was introduced to the meat sauce.
Gotcha.
And then when I was a teenager and started getting into plates, I was like, why is this sauce so runny? Why is this just beef and water? Like, what's going on here? Like, this is not what I'm used to. This is not what I was brought up with,
Right.
So when I was 19 years old, I had an opportunity to get a late night job at Eastridge Family Restaurant.
Okay.
And
I think my neighbor, when I lived in Pittsford, the neighbor behind me, was the owner's name Jim?
No, it was Nick and Chris were the brothers.
Chris, okay, never mind.
And then there was other family members involved too,
Yeah.
sister and mother at the time. But so my dad was working there, as a morning, daytime, afternoon, late, not late night, but dinner guy. And he's like, hey, there's late night opportunity, opening up over there, and it's a lot of money, and
What is
so-
late night opportunity as a manager or
a line cook. They needed a fourth guy on the line, and they were struggling to find somebody. I at the time wasn't really working that much. I was only 19, just fresh out of high school. Then I run into my dad's boss at the gas station, and I was like, hey, your old man tell you about the late night hours, and I'm just like, I'm 19 years old. I'm like, I don't know if I want to work till 4 in the morning on Fridays and Saturdays.
Right.
He goes, well, listen, it's 10 hours. It's $150 cash. And there was no hesitation to say, I'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.
$15 an hour in 2001.
Right.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, that's buco bucks, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I took the job, and everything just kind of happened. All it all kind of was a pot of stew, just simmering. So I get the late night job. My old man mentions the restaurant. My buddies from high school go to Northeastern in Boston, and they're like, "Man, you need to bring the garbage plate out here." And then the idea went from taking it to Boston to, oh, well, let's try Buffalo, and then we're just like, well, we got to stay in Monroe County. So let's start looking for spots around here. And, Brockport was third on the list, and it was the last place we visited,
Really?
So because just the second you entered here, it had the vibe we wanted.
So how long were you at Eastridge then?
I worked Eastridge for a year and 8 months.
Year and 8 months. Then you opened this?
I actually got canned from Eastridge, and then
It's a great story.
That's how the movie
That's
starts.
a great story.
Yeah, yeah.
Why did you? Can we ask why?
It
Were
was.
you eating people's food off the plate? What
No,
was it? I know. I'm only
no.
kidding.
There was a lot of politics going on.
Gotcha.
At Eastridge Diner?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
Hey,
a lot of family.
yeah,
If you want to
right?
work your way up to second shift,
Yeah.
you better put out.
Regardless the point, so the main guy that ran late night, he had, he really painted pictures, you know what I mean, for what was going on, and he was, he just wasn't a good person. Make a long story the way it should be. Somebody cheesed whiz the inside of this guy's car after I got in trouble.
Oh, after you got in trouble.
I got in trouble, and then someone cheesed whiz as I was like, as my job was in jeopardy apparently, or as I was like, being summoned by the court, of justice at the Ridge. Somebody cheese whizzed the inside of this dude's car.
When
And
you say cheese whizzed, are we
I-
talking a little bit on the seat, or they did like?
I think it was bad because I don't know, but
That's a lot of cheese whiz.
Never heard of this
no, it was
happening.
it was crazy. It was crazy.
This is crazy.
But the moral of the story is they pinned it on me.
They pinned it on you?
Yeah.
Now, look, I gotta say, like, of all the things, those kind of hijinks don't seem to be in your personality. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, I was 19 and I definitely did things then that I would not do now.
Yeah,
like,
of course. We all did.
We all did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ashamed to say that I got picked up from the Rondequoit police station at 17,
Yeah.
because I stole something I shouldn't have.
Okay.
Okay. Like, it's happened. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, I'm a better person for it.
Yep.
It was hilarious. I was just like, dude, it wasn't me, but if you think it was me, cool. You know what I mean? Like, I can't.
So that was kind of the final nail in the coffin?
The nail in the coffin.
cheese whiz.
Yeah, the cheese whiz. Like, they pinned the cheese whiz on me. So,
Jimmy Cheese.
And so from there, you just roll over to here?
no, so I had about 6-7 months in between that. So I ended up getting a job at Constantino's in Ontario. My parents live in Irondequoit. They literally live 1 minute away from Eastridge. Okay,
Gotcha.
Tallman
Yeah, yeah.
Ridge. So my dad's dentist, was Constantino, and then they had a restaurant too. Okay, like, so the one brother, has his dental office, the other brother, running the restaurant. And my dad would always stop, going there. He's like, hey, and I know they were looking for help, So I went there. I introduced myself. I got a job and right away, and I started that job probably early to mid-August of 2002.
Okay.
And I worked there until I gave them my 1 month notice. In the right around this beginning of December, and you know, I got my job there, and like, you know, he sits down with me. He's like, all right, so how many days you want? I said, I want 7. Like, you have to understand, like, I was still putting the money together for this place as it was coming.
Right.
And every time I thought I had enough, it's not enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I literally was working 7 days a week there for, like, you know, a month straight. And, like, I remember, you know, when he sat me down, when I gave him the month notice, I told him what was going on. They knew something was up. Like, why would this kid be working 7 days a week? Why would this is his second job. I was coming from I was working a lunch job before I went there for dinner.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was.
Where were you working a lunch job? What a hustle, man.
Yeah.
I was stacking cash.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. I mean, and you know, I was stacking cash.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I put $50 a week in my pocket for gas, and the only bill I had was my car insurance. I lived with my parents, so like literally, it was just stacking all the cash for the restaurant. You know, so and I was working some serious hours. You know, but I was working lunch at Rosie's Italian Cafe, which was in downtown at the time. Now they're in Penfield.
I remember that.
You know, so and yeah, I mean, and it was great, and no one really my guy in Penfield knew what was going on because I'd worked there for a few years, but like nobody knew what was going on. Like I didn't say anything. There's no social media then, but like I didn't say, like, my 4 friends that I went to high school with, that 2 of them had their own place already at the time.
Yeah.
Like they're the only ones that knew.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I remember, like, when there was, like, a dome sale in, I think it was, like, Christmas time. Yeah, it was December dome sale in '02. I bought the Rat Pack, Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane, and Marilyn Monroe, the 4 posters that are in front of the 4 booths. I bought them from there. And at that time, Mama Z would never have understood what my vision for these walls were.
Yeah.
You can't explain that kind of stuff to her.
No.
You know what I mean? So these posters literally went in my buddy's basement.
Okay, so you wouldn't even bring them home.
I'm not. No.
But you're very smart, because I think when you have a vision like that, it's funny. There's a guy dropped off a really cool thing, and I'm going to do a big deal about it tomorrow when we're back in the studio. But he made us coasters, and one of the ones he made on a laser, his name is Bob Walton. I'm pretty sure. I hope I got that right. And he, it said, don't tell anybody what you're going to do, basically. Like, whatever you're going to do, keep it to yourself. Because the only reason is, your mother has nothing but your pure interest in her heart. She wants the absolute best for you.
Well, my mother was terrified at the moment for this whole project.
I'm sure.
Just because of the hardship that
she
we
knew.
already had in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Like, the last thing my mother wanted was for us to do it again because of the heartache and the losses and everything that it had caused us. But if it wasn't for all that, I would have not had it in me to do what we've done this last 21 years.
Yeah, I think, okay, I see what you're saying. Like, had you not had the...
when people come to me and they're like, oh, this success, I'm like, listen, if our family didn't fall on our face 6 times... This 7th time, you see,
success is just a person who got up and did it one more time.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
It's really true what they say. Like, how many times Walt Disney was knocked down with Mickey Mouse?
100%.
You know, Jordan got cut off his senior basketball team. Oprah got fired from the news channel. Like, these things happen, and it's what you do with them.
Yes.
And how you use them to your advantage.
Right.
Like, there was literally, like, my motto is that I will not give anybody, the only person who has ammunition to take me down is me, and I will not give anybody that ammunition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's amazing that you had that at such a young age, but also amazing that you knew that if you had shown your mom what you were going to put on the walls and all, she would have either talked you out of it, it wouldn't have gone the way you wanted in your mind, and it all would have been from love. It would have been from her loving you. It's just, that's all it would have been.
Course,
but that's what I say to people is, when you have a great idea, hold it to yourself, not because you want to be a prick and go, I got to see, just because when you tell somebody, they may say to you, I don't see how that's going to work. I mean, I love you, and I love that you got it, but
I mean, there was a lot of people who told me Brockport wouldn't work for our idea because of the amount of restaurants that had come and gone. But the bottom line is that I don't know who was operating those restaurants, but I can tell you it wasn't Jimmy and Poppy fucking Z.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I know that exactly.
And I'm not saying that we were the best that ever did it, but I can tell you one thing, that we are not insecure about what we're able to do.
Yeah.
And it never at one point was I insecure that this place was not going to work.
Tell me about, okay, you open it up. Take me back 21 years. First day it's going to open up. What's going on in your head? Are there butterflies?
Look, like we talked about 5 years ago on the show, my car broke down on the way here.
That's right.
I
forgot.
Yeah.
What an omen. I mean, what a start.
21 years ago, I was here till 3 in the morning putting the final touches, went home, slept for a few hours. I was back here by 11 o'clock, and I was here till 4 a.m.
Yeah. And what time did it open?
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Pops had gone, Pops wasn't here with me till 3 o'clock, so he had a good night's sleep. He was able to come in and, do get things ready to go, and then on my way in, my car breaks down, and, the rest is all history.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget. I mean, we didn't announce an opening day, and that's how we wanted it. Poppy taught me from Poppy taught me from like the 90s when people were opening up restaurants and they made their first day a grand opening. And I just remember him saying, you don't do a grand opening on your first day.
Yeah.
You just don't do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I didn't understand it then, but I understood it 21 years after.
Why would that be? The grand opening is usually sometimes like you do a soft opening, you open, you get your staff used to what's happening, the rhythm.
I don't care what place you are. You're not going to get the same experience at a place on its first day versus its 20th day or 30th day or 40th day. You got there's weeds to, there's things to weed out. There's things to figure out. We didn't even announce that we were opening up. We just opened up the doors. And we had a sign on the window that said DOB 01/03. So it gave us all of January to open up, and we pulled it off on the last day.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any announcements. Just Friday came along. We put "Yes, we're open" sign on there. We did $340 in business for the first day, and it was off to the races from there. Like we barely did anything the first day.
Yeah.
But
do you remember who the first customer was?
Yes. Yeah. His name's on $1.
I wondered if that was the case. That's awesome.
His name's on $1 because Lift Bridge, right next door to us, back then, I mean, we opened up like the first week of classes. So we opened up on a Friday, the 31st. I'm pretty sure classes started that Monday before for the semester.
Okay.
So Lift Bridge was a madhouse all week. So come that Friday morning, I get next door, and they were my landlords. You know what I mean? So hey, we're open. We're finally, we finally done it, and they just announced on their PA system, Jimmy Z's is now open. So one of the kids from the bookshop came here, ordered a hot dog, and Matt Estridge is his name, and he's got his $1 first customer. And
that's
awesome. We know. I couldn't tell you who the second one was, but I know who the first one was.
I'm very happy to hear that. I figured you would.
Yeah.
Take me to COVID. COVID wreaked havoc on the hospitality industry.
Yeah, I mean, it wreaked havoc. It wreaked havoc on everything.
Somehow, here you are.
It hasn't been easy since COVID.
Yeah.
It has not been easy, and there's a lot of factors to it. The rising cost of goods, which they're kind of some stuff is coming down, which is great. But the one thing that's not coming down and will never come down at this point is minimum wage.
Right.
And minimum wage is just a killer.
I am seeing in the state of Washington right now, delivery drivers for things like Grubhub and others, $26 an hour. So somebody would order, let's say, a latte to be delivered to their office from a coffee shop, $19.
Yeah.
$19.
Yeah.
Because it goes on. And I go, are you going to pay nearly $20 for a cup of coffee that I can buy the big thing?
Or you can just make it. You just put it in your...
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like, make it yourself and bring it.
I mean, sometimes that $19, when you think about it, isn't a lot of money, okay?
No, but it is on that.
But...
Don't you think, like, in terms of value? I don't know.
Listen, the value it brings the person to make them feel the special they need to feel to have a cup of coffee delivered.
What? I can't argue with that.
Okay.
I can't argue with that.
And that's really the disconnect with reality.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
Let's be honest. I don't think anybody in their right mind 20 years ago, even if the service was available, would have done that.
No, I don't either.
You know what I mean? But when these people are, this generation, not people, that generation we're talking about, they were brought up with a tablet. They were brought up with a phone in their hand. They were brought up. They don't know what it's like.
Everything's on demand. I mean, it's right there when you want it.
They don't know what it's like that when the new, when your favorite artist put out a new CD. Like if you wanted it, you were at the Hog on Tuesday night at midnight.
Right.
Or when you wanted tickets for something, you went to Macy's.
Yeah.
Okay. Or went
stood in line, got a bracelet.
Yeah. Like these things don't exist anymore.
It's funny because I have my middle son just turned 22 yesterday, and we're going to get together this weekend. And I said something to him about, I don't want to just give you money that you're going to go spend at a bar or do something. And he goes, listen, if you don't mind, can I ask you what you give me? I tell him, and he said, I'm just putting it toward a new windshield for my car. I've been hustling. I'm trying to get extra hours between track practice and other. And I go, that's what I love.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see you suffer. I don't want to see you grind it out. But I think when you're a little uncomfortable, you do a little bit more and you do a little bit better, right? I mean, wouldn't you say being uncomfortable, you hustle a little bit more, and it means a little bit more to you.
Listen, the person who's paying $19 for a cup of coffee, they don't know what uncomfortable is.
That's what I mean. That's why every day I try to do something to make me a little uncomfortable.
They don't know. They don't know what being challenged is.
Yes.
Because these are the kind of people that wake up thinking that they are deserving of it all.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but don't have an explanation on why.
The born on third base disease.
Or if they do have an explanation, it's coming from somebody's Barbie world.
Yeah. But the COVID stuff. I mean, Jimmy, I remember that was a really dark time for everybody. But somehow were you doing deliveries or pickup?
Well, we
certain
did,
nights a week.
We did close for 3 months, and we were probably one of the longest businesses in town that stayed closed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because we were able to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over the years, I reinvested. I worked very hard. I've lived below my means.
Yep.
So, I don't have a rent payment here. The place is mine. You know what I mean? So I bought the building, so I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay rent. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about, I have rent coming in from my rentals. So it's just it was the first off button that I personally had at that time in 17 years.
Yeah.
Literally.
So it was almost kind of nice.
In a way.
In a weird way.
In a weird way where I could go. I went from seeing my mom once a month to a couple times a week. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From being able to actually have quality time with my family versus stressed out all the time, about what's going to go wrong today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, but from the other standpoint of having, the people who were relying on their paycheck.
I know.
And so
That's
there's
scary.
2 ways on everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then the people that were actually really getting sick.
Yeah.
Some of the people that that we lost during that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a scary time for everybody. There was a lot of unknown for a while. You know what I mean? But we opened up 3 months later, and to a great response. And it was tough. I'm not going to lie. It was tough. And, it was tough before COVID.
Yeah.
The restaurant business was tough before COVID. And when you didn't think, and basically that toughness said, hold my beer. Okay. Or COVID said, hold my beer.
Hold my beer. You think that's tough.
Yeah.
But here you are, man. 21 years.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I do too. Definitely, I don't know. I mean,
how are you celebrating? Are you going to do something privately for yourself?
No, I'm not really a celebrator of birthdays, even my own personal one. I've never been.
And if I played you this song, right here.
Happy anniversary, baby. Got you on my mind.
I think this is actually. I think we realized this is an anti-anniversary song.
Yeah, it's a slap in the face.
It
I
is,
didn't know
but
that either.
I didn't either until I really listened to the words.
Great
And I
harmonies.
went, well, the opening line is good.
The beginning's fun.
It is
It's the thought that counts.
Yes.
It's the thought that counts.
But 21 years, damn, old enough to have a. So did Jimmy Z's have a drink today? Since it's 21?
It had some cake. But I mean, Poppy and I are winding down. For us, this is somewhat of a farewell tour. You know what I mean? Right now, you know, we are right now, you know, in search of the right buyer. We are in talks, you know, with a few parties and hoping that, you know, we can move forward with the right one and, you know, just find the right feet that fit the shoes.
Gotcha.
You know, because these shoes, it takes a special person to wear these shoes.
Yeah.
You know, in order to operate this place at its highest level of potential, it takes a lot out of the operator.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, we will take a moment. Maybe we'll get a little Jimmy Z's grub, and then we'll come back and do a couple more. But we are at Jimmy Z's for the 21st anniversary. 21 years.
It's an honor
Jimmy
to have
Z's
you guys
Place to
here.
Chase. Thanks for
having us.
And you know, you know, it's been a pleasure. You know, on this joyride of media that I've had with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll never forget you know, what you guys and, you know, the rest of the guys up there at the 5-star, you know, building
Yep.
did for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just elevated things to such a level. And, you know, you guys put me on such a pedestal that I was not worthy of. But as long as I kept on getting invited back, I was not going to say no.
That's right. That's right. All right, we will take a moment. But first,